Let's talk a little bit about the technical side of this class. What language are you learning? And let's get into that just a little bit about what does this language mean. So there are a lot of different languages that you can use to write web pages. We are using in this class, we're going to be talking about HTML, which is called a markup language. I'm here on the W3 school site. This is a site that you're going to see me talking about, and I've put the link there, and you should go there and you should bookmark it and use this all the time. It's a great site. It has lots of, not exactly tutorials, but like references and examples, so you can see a little bit of HTML and then you can try it yourself, and it's going to open up another window and show you what it looks like, and then you can tweak it. It's a really great place to go. So we're going to be using this language HTML. Let's jump over my PowerPoint here. And the idea of an HTML is that it marks up all of the content on the page. And it marks it up using what's called a tag. All right, so when we were over here, you can see that this is the way that text looks marked up in HTML. And before and after all of the text, there is what's called a tag. This is an HTML tag. So that's what we're doing. I kind of think of HTML tags almost like stickies or notes, like you're just labeling it. Everything that is going to be on your web page is going to get labeled. Plus, there'll be other parts of HTML that are just labeling behind the scenes. It's not necessarily labeling what you see on the page. So hypertext markup language is what HTML stands for. It's just a good thing to know if you're ever at a party, someone asks, hey, what does HTML stand for? Hypertext markup language. And I emphasize markup because that's the main thing of what we're doing. We're marking up the page. What are we marking up? Well, we're doing things like breaking it up into different levels of text, such as if something is a paragraph, or if it's a heading, it's a quote, or whatever it might be. We mark it up differently. They all have different tags. We also mark up different parts of the page, such as if something is a navigation, or it's a column, a footer. So we use HTML to differentiate those parts. We also use HTML to differentiate if something is an image, or it's a video, or it's audio. Okay, so just basically everything that's on the page has its own HTML. So here are just some examples. So if this line of text here wants to be a heading 1, and this wants to be a heading 2, and this wants to be a heading 3, so very similar tags. This is an H1 tag, this is an H2, H3. This is all it takes. This is my HTML, this is how I mark it up. One thing to notice is that the tags, they have this syntax of the brackets that surrounds them, and then they have closing versions. And the difference between the opening and the closing is that it has the /. This is the way most tags work. There are a few tags that have a little bit of a difference, but most tags work like this. You have the name of the tag surrounded in our brackets at the start, and then you are putting it at the end. You repeat it, but it has a /, and this indicates it's an ending one. Okay, paragraph tag. This is another really common one. You can have tags within tags. So here, this entire line of text I'm saying is a paragraph, but just this particular word, I'm making it strong, which is going to give it the end result of being bold. So I open it before the word paragraph, and then I close it. Let's look to see how this would display on a web page. So this is what you would see on the web page. So HTML has some default styles. So by styles, I mean like it made this text bigger and it made it bold and it made this bold. So it controlled the font size. That's a default style. And that's okay, and that's something we're going to be working with in the beginning, is just using the default styles with HTML. But eventually, we're going to go to CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and we're going to use that to target our HTML and to give the styles. So by target HTML, I mean we're going to say if you have the paragraph tag around you, like these two paragraphs had, they have the paragraph tag around them, then make it a certain font family and a certain font color and a certain font size. Okay, so this is something we'll get into in a couple of weeks, but this is CSS. CSS is really going to be the thing that designs the page. It's going to design the background color, how much space do you have, so on and so forth for all of the content on the page. Briefly, I want to talk about the page structure. Where do you find things? So when you look at an HTML page, there's going to be a lot of stuff on it. Or I'm sorry, I should say when you look at a web page, there's going to be a lot of stuff on it. And the first thing is I want you just to be able to start deciphering what's what. You'll probably see these tags up at the beginning saying like this is an HTML5 document. The whole thing will probably be wrapped in an HTML opening and closing tag. Then there's going to be all the stuff in here. For the start, I just want you to be aware of there are two main parts of this. There's an open head and a closing head. This stuff that goes within the head tag is where the CSS will go, the things that design the page, not the content. So if I want to have the words, this is the best website in the world, that's not going to go here between the head. The things that go between the head is the CSS. Between the body tags, these two, we have an opening body tag and we have a closing body tag. Notice the / here. This is where all the content goes. So if I have images, if I have text, if I have videos, it's all going to be found here. Let's just go over to a web page here and look at this for a second. So if, for example, I'm already over here, I'm going to go to the Hudson Valley web page. And it's different on every browser, but if I want to look at their code, I'm going to, in Firefox, I'm going to right click and choose View Page Source. And again, that's going to be different in different browsers. And as I said up here at the top, I see this that says that they're using HTML5. And I have my opening head tag, and then I have a bunch of stuff here and a closing head tag. All right, so all of this it's way beyond anything that I want to get into right now, but this is not the stuff that we're seeing on the page. The only thing is the title tag, and that says Hudson Valley Community College /HVCC. That is what we're going to see up here in our tab, and I will talk about that more. Next, we see the body tag, and don't worry about this whole thing class. Just pretend that's not there right now. And then this is all of the stuff that we actually see on the web page. These are our links and all of the pictures and everything. And we could scroll. This is all the content all the way down to the bottom. And right before our closing HTML, we see the closing body. And we can look at a less complicated, let's see, website like this one here. I'll do the same thing. Right click on it, say View Page Source. Here's my doc type HTML at the top. And where's my open head tag? Here's my open head tag. Now there's a little funny spot, but here's my open head tag. This is where they have links to all their CSS and other things that are active on their page. Scroll down. We will get to all this kind of stuff. And there that closes. And now I have my opening body tag, and this is where all the content is. So the mill at Meadowlands, we're an environmental friendly fiber mill. That's the stuff that we see here. So it all looks really different once you apply the CSS to it. Okay, so going back to my PowerPoint here, basically what I want you to just start being aware of is that the web page is split up into two regions. It has the head tag and it has the body tag. And you're going to, right now, we're focusing on what goes in the body tag, and that's going to be all of our HTML. Okay, and just a little diagram kind of pointing it out how things would look. For your very first assignment that you're going to be doing, the recipe assignment, it's going to look basically like this. I want you to have an opening and closing head HTML tag, opening and closing head tag, open and closing body tag, and then all of your content with your other HTML tags will go within this region. I'm asking that you mark up all of your text. Every bit of text that you have has the HTML tags around it. And the reason for that is because two reasons. One, it needs something to be associated with it. It's like if you just have a bunch of brown bags, and none of them are labeled and they all look exactly the same, you wouldn't know which one had your lunch in it. So it has to have your name on it, it has to be labeled. It's the same thing. The web page, if it just sees a bunch of text and it doesn't have a tag around it, it doesn't know what to do with it. It doesn't know, are you a paragraph? Are you a heading? It really is kind of that slow. It needs to be told what kind of tag, what it is. The other thing is, because once we're using CSS to design the page, the only way CSS works is if you target an HTML. So if you have some text on your page that doesn't have HTML around it, you can't target it and therefore you can't design it. So this I've kind of already covered, but there's the idea that tags can get wrapped around each other. So I have a bunch of tags here. These all make list items, and they all get wrapped around what's called the UL tag, an unordered list. This is also covered in your reading, this specific tag. This is how it ends up looking on the web page. And as I already said before, tags within tags. So it's not hard. HTML is not hard. It's really just a matter of learning what are all these tags called. You could take any paper that you've written and just start marking it up with HTML. Just the thing is to know what are the tags and how do you mark things up. So beside your book, you're going to use the W3 School. So for our first practice, we're not getting into Dreamweaver yet. That's what we will be using for the rest of the class. But I want you to use a text editor such as Notepad, not Notepad++. So if I just go into my search, I look for Notepad, and this is the one that I'm looking for, okay? If you're on a Mac, I'll have to add some notes on here. I don't remember what the default text editor is, but we want something that's just really basic, like this. It doesn't help us in any way. Notepad++ gives you some code helpers, okay? So follow on. Let me know if you have questions, and then just move on to the next video.